in spirit. Let me tell you something. And the climate in America right now is guilty till proven innocent. Our judicial system is based upon innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
But the accusation itself, so many times, it's like a stink. It's like it stays on you. And I've been watching the pundits a little bit this morning, and not all of them, but a lot, most of them are under the idea that even if Kavanaugh survives this process, that he's going to have this cloud over him down the road. I would argue that I think this is all going to backfire. I think the only thing I can liken it to is Pearl Harbor, when that Japanese general, and I don't know his name slips me, but the day that Japan attacked our nation at Pearl Harbor, and the Japanese were cheering and cheering and cheering, and he solemnly said, "We didn't do anything, folks. All we've done is awaken a sleeping giant." And I think what's happened with Brett Kavanaugh, I think the church, Mark, had gotten complacent again after this election. I think things were going so well in the country, for the most part, that the economy was going good. President Trump's foreign policy was working on several fronts. And I think, and we've talked about this before, Christians are the worst at winning battles, but not keeping battles, not keeping victories.
They take ground, but they can't hold it.
That's great. I think what's happened is that God allowed this a little bit to go on to stir up the fire and the anger in us again. Because I'm going to tell you, to a person in the last 48 to 72 hours that I have talked to of faith, we're mad and we're upset. And there has been the number of people that are praying 24/7 right now for Brett Kavanaugh and his family. But see, they don't realize, Mark, they're not just praying for Brett Kavanaugh. This is a bigger arching picture. They're praying for our nation. This is about to be a earmark moment where the army of God, I believe, has woke up again, and thank God for it. And even though it's taken this terrible ordeal that this man and his family have been put through, the spiritual ramifications of this, if I was the Democrats, I'd be getting resumes done by November, because there's a red wave coming. And I'll say this and I'll give it back to you. There was one Fox commentator, she's a Democrat, and I heard her this morning, and I was just shaking my head laughing at what she was saying. And the fact, she says, well, there is going to be such a backlash in this country from women against, the Republicans if they allow this supposed rapist to get on the court. I mean, she literally said supposed rapist, and there's been no accusation of real rape. Right. The accusation is that she, whoever it was that did it, put his hand over her mouth and tried to get her clothes off, but he never succeeded. That's the dirty, demonic nature of accusation, Mark. They never tell the truth.
Never.
And most women I've talked to today have been just the opposite. They're mad because it's destroying the credibility of true victims. But the accusation and that spirit is so deep and dark that it literally takes discernment to discern the truth from lies. That's Satan's effort, but that's why we as Christians have got to be alert and be full of the Holy Spirit and let the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth, guide us into what is right and what is wrong. We need that right now more than ever.
Right, and the problem is that I'll go back to this right here. This is a prime example. Donald Trump had his faith leaders, was it a week or two ago, I guess what it was? And he had them all together in a room, and he kicked the news media out and said, because he wanted to have a private meeting with him. And it leaked out, and don't think for one second that was not purposeful, okay? This man's not dumb. This man's brilliant. He's a genius. He's finding out who he can trust.
That's right.
Okay? And it leaked out, okay? So it leaked out that he told these guys that I have done a lot for you. And, and he just kind of went on with his tone. I've done a lot for you guys. In other words, I need you guys to open your mouth. I need you guys to get activated, because these leaders aren't doing it, brother. The church system, those who are involved in the system, and we've talked about this, incorporated, 501c3. We came out with the clergy response team, which is going to be a huge bombshell when all this stuff comes out, if we can get the names. So, but when he's telling these guys, you need to get activated. You need to do something. You're not doing what you said you're going to do. I'm keeping my end of the deal. You guys are sitting back getting fat and happy off of wealth, influence, whatever the case may be. And this is where I get in a lot of trouble with people, because I always say, if you go back to the Black Coat Regiment or Black Coat Militia back in the Revolutionary War, those pastors would take up physical arms and would defend their flock to the death, literal death. Today, the contrast, Chris, look at the contrast in today. These guys wouldn't do some of the, I'm not saying all, I'm saying those who are part of the system, because you have a lot that aren't a part of the system, but those who are a part of the system, they will do anything to protect the wealth and the influence, or the corporation, if you will, and they don't care who it hurts, as long as they have that rock star lifestyle. And that's what God's tired of. And that's what I think you're going to see come to an end. But the point being was, when Trump had those guys in there, he was saying, you guys need to get activated. You need to open your mouth and you need to do something now. Otherwise, because if they do get in and impeach this guy, which is not going to happen, but let's say if they did, they're going to find out just how fast and furious that agenda gets reinstated of what was coming. And they're going to find out in the coming months the truth about what was fixing to happen, how they were going to get rounded up, put into FEMA camps, and executed. That was their agenda, period. So, you've got this whole thing going on. I have said all along that the corruption in the political realm, the exposure of the corruption in the political realm, will parallel that in the church.
The church.
Period. And you're seeing that taking place. You're going to see the pedophilia, the sex trafficking, child trafficking, all this stuff, the immoral stuff, the money, all this kind of stuff is going to come out. And I believe part of that will be that clergy response team. Because when you look at the clergy response team, that we broke this, this has been talked about many times for many years, but everybody just disregards it. But God's saying now is the time to bring it out, because everybody's wanting to hear truth. See, God's looking for truth seekers and truth speakers. There's no place for cowardice in the army of God. There's a reason God said the first ones in the lake of fire will be the cowards. So if they're too scared to preach the truth, they got a problem. But the point being with the clergy response team is that these guys signed non-disclosures with the government, and they were going to go around with the feds for those who resisted, and they were there to pervert Romans 13, that you have to submit to civil government, which Jesus never did, and you were to give up your guns and submit to civil government, and they were there to help you in your grieving process when they put you into a FEMA camp and separated from your family. That's what these pastors and clergy were for. Now, it's not just pastors. It was elders, deacons, bishops, pastors, youth pastors. There were even people in the congregation that are part of this clergy response team. These guys committed treason because they did it. Why? For benefits. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Benefits. 501c3, 30 pieces of silver. Let's keep our mouth shut. So they did it for benefits because it would save their family. They would have vaccines, food, this, that, and the other for them and their family if they turned in their flock. So the second they signed on the dotted line, they now became government agents, period. And they won't release the list of names. Right. Now, why is that? Because they know the flock, when they find out whose name's on that list, they're going to lynch these guys. So you've got all this stuff that's going to come out, Chris. I mean, God is exposing everything in the darkness right now. And when you think about the fact that the person you trusted the most, your pastor, or those in your clergy, whoever it is, those in your congregation, and they've been reporting to the government, because you've also got other organizations involved in this. You've got doctors involved. You've got CIA, NSA. Sheila Zielinski and Dave Hodges are the ones that have been investigating this stuff for years. And so, and we talked about it the other day on Sheila's show. And so, I mean, so you've got all this stuff going on, brother. The betrayal, the deception, it runs deep. And God has had it with this mess. I still quote you. I hope that's okay, man. You said we came in houses, we're going to go out in houses.
Absolutely. I love
I've been
it.
using that on some of my other interviews, man.
Right.
I love that. So I hope you don't have that patented. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. I'm actually flattered that Mark Taylor quoted Chris McDonald.
I quote Chris. I say, hey, Chris McDonald, like Chris McDonald says, man, we came in houses, we're going out in houses. But you're going to see this huge move of these people who are not bound by the government in these home churches. This is why they don't want your kids in home school and home churches, because they can't control you.
Exactly.
They can't indoctrinate you.
Wow.
And that's the problem, is that we've been indoctrinated into thinking too many wrong things, that it's all about money, 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 money. You know, I don't know if I said this on your show. I said it on one of the other ones I did. I said, you know, I'd love for 1 second, because everybody, we've been indoctrinated into thinking a tithe has to be money. And it's like, I'd love to take one of these big mega churches and roll a brand new set of car tires right down the center aisle, take it right down to the front. So here's my tithe, boys. And first off, they would never let me in the front door. But if I did make it that far, they'd look at me and go, how am I supposed to pay this light bill with that? What they don't understand is that the Lord told me there's an 80-year-old lady in this congregation that doesn't have the money to put tires on her car. Here they are right here.
Powerful.
For the taking. It's not all about money.
Right,
but we've been indoctrinated into thinking this garbage so that they can live their rock star lifestyles.
Well, you read that verse in Acts, it